arrange the steps and teaching approach passes, reading, listening, and teaching pros include reading is skills. Teaching pros include reading skills. A quick reading or passes looking for specific information is scanning. A pro should include a story, biography, an essay, and a dialogue. The aim of teaching prose are to develop. The aim of teaching prose are the aims of teaching prose are to develop thinking power, imaginative power, and to develop interest for story reading. To develop thinking power, imaginative power, and to develop interest for story reading. The teaching of biography is useful for equating student with the life equating student with the life dates, and teaching of great men is a teaching enables student to arrange the idea in a systematic way enables student to arrange the idea in a systematic way. Point out the incorrect answer. Incorrect, the teacher explain the meaning of difficult word as phrase while listening while teaching a structure. Wrong. Incorrect. The teacher should introduce the new structure through suitable class situation. Choose the incorrect statement. It is necessary. It is necessary to clarify the type of vocabulary needed for second language teaching. It is necessary to clarify. It is necessary to clarify the type of vocabulary needed for second language teaching. Next, the fourth purpose of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. A minimum vocabulary is needed for the purpose of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. A minimum vocabulary is needed. Vocabulary can be taught by asking the students to use a dictionary. Vocabulary can be taught by asking the student to use a dictionary. Pronunciation of word does not help the student to retain the meanings of word. Student to retain the meaning of word. Pronunciation of word does not help the student to retain the meaning of word. The meaning of word become clear through constant use. The meaning of words become clear by occasional use. Teaching pros include reading skill. Teaching pros include reading skill. The teaching of pros emphasize silent reading. The teacher of pros emphasize silent reading. The aim of teaching English prose may be a general and specific. The aim of teaching English prose may be general and specific. Which one of the following is to be given least emphasis to enable learner to enjoy poetry? Language skill aspect. The main objective of teaching poetry at secondary level is to appreciate the beauty of the poem. To appreciate the beauty of 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 poem. To appreciate the poem. The teaching poetry secondary level is to appreciate the beauty of the poem. Which of the following best states the advantage of teaching poetry? Create the aesthetic sense. Memorize, no, which is not correct statement. In teaching poetry, the main aim is to enlarge the vocabulary and explain the structure of sentence. In teaching poetry, the main aim is to enlarge the vocabulary and explain the structure of sentence. In teaching poetry, which is not correct. The teacher should not read the poem. The teacher should read the poem aloud. The teacher should read the poem twice and thrice. And the teacher should not talk unnecessarily about the poem in teaching poetry, which is not correct. So the teacher is not allowed the student to ask. The teacher should ask question on the figure of speech, allusion, and beauty of the poem. The teacher should initiate discussion about the effect of the poem. Right? For successful teaching for of poetry, which is not correct. Teach each poem only once. No. Teach each poem twice, given the student time to for their own impression, invite them to criticize the poem, ask them to learn by heard the poem of their liking, which is which one is not aim of teaching it to improve the student knowledge of English is not to add to his joy, increase his power of appreciation of beauty, and to give him a sense of satisfaction that comes from a which is not correct which is not the correct a poetry enable student to appreciate the music of rhyme and rhythm. Wrong. Poetry enable student to develop their imagination and thought, and poetry appeals more the eye than to the ear. Galat. When the teacher gives when to When the teacher gives the first reading of the poem, the student should open their books. While teaching a poem, the teacher should teach the historical background. Poetry must primarily be taught for the sake of music. Poetry must primarily to be taught for the sake of music. Poetry increases a child sensitiveness of beauty. Poetry increase a child sensitiveness to beauty. Poems should be read with rhythm and intonation. Select the poem. The reading skill of scanning is employed to locate a specific item of information to reading. The reading skill of scanning is employed to locate a specific item of information. Teaching of grammar is particularly useful for improving accuracy. Accuracy. Teaching of grammar is particularly useful for improving accuracy. Accuracy. Particularly useful for improving accuracy. Accuracy. The concept of universal grammar is associated with नोम चॉम्स्की से संबंधित है. यूनिवर्सल ग्रामर की अवधारणा नोम चॉम्स्की से संबंधित है. Inductive method in teaching grammar focus on only the teacher present certain example before the student and then frame the rule and their help, which is the following of applicable to functional grammar does not lay down any format. The teaching of grammar should be started when people have acquired some command over the language. When people have acquired some command over the language. When people have acquired some command over the language. Teaching of grammar, perfection in listening, profession in listening, perfection in listening, profession in listening. Teacher of grammar, teaching of grammar, teaching of perfection in language. Grammar provide a sound base of creating the mention of English language, which teaching of grammar does not help student. The teaching of grammar, the teaching which is not correct. The enable student to process from concrete to abstract. The systematic and correct knowledge of English cannot be imparted through the informal method. Grammar should be taught. Its comprehension teaching comprehension is difficult because the reader is not familiar with the use of idiomatic phrase in the passage. कंप्रेशन को पढ़ाना इसलिए कठिन होता है कि पाठक गद्यांश में आए हुए एडमेटिक प्रेस को नहीं समझता है. Principle of proper order. The four language skills are listening, speaking, reading, writing. Listening, speaking, reading, writing, and understanding. Each of the technical part presentation of direct method translation. Select the option not include criteria, vocabulary, spelling. The principle of gradation means go from easy to difficult. Go from easy to difficult. The principle of gradation means go from easy to difficult. Go from easy to difficult. The principle of gradation means go from easy to difficult. The principle of gradation means go from easy to difficult. A child learn his mother tongue easily because there is a natural environment in the family for learning. There is natural environment in the family for learning to teach English language. A natural environment can be provided by taking two students in English in the class and in the playground. For learning English, the pupil should formulate the habit of going to library and reading English newspaper. For learning English, the pupil should be formulate the habit of going to library and reading English newspaper. Generally, a person generally a person has an inner desire to learn his mother tongue. To learn his mother tongue, generally a person has an inner desire to learn his mother tongue. To learn his mother tongue. In incentive technique of language teaching include rewards, praise, grades, competitions, and punishments. In incentive technique of language include teaching include rewards है, praise, grades, competitions, and punishment. The principle of teaching which create real life like situation to convey the meaning is called principle of correlation of life. The four aim of teaching learning English are understanding, speaking, reading, writing. Understanding, speaking, reading, writing. Four aim of teaching learning: understanding, speaking, reading and writing. The English teacher should adopt to reach his goal many approaches. We need to select language teaching material because the total language material cannot be taught in a short time. The total language material cannot be taught in a short time. The total language material cannot be taught in a short time. Language material should be selected according to age, mental ability, and the stand of the class of the learner. According to age, mental ability, and the standard of the class of the learner. Gradation is the placing of language material in an order. Gradation is the placing of language material in an order. The placing of language material in an order. Gradation क्या है? The placing of language material in an order. Gradation include a sequence and grouping of language material. Gradation include a sequence and grouping of language material. Gradation include sequencing or grouping of language material. Sequencing grouping of language material. Principle of gradation is based on the principle of simplicity, familiarity, familiarity, and teachability. Teachability, that is the principle of simplicity, familiarity, and teachability. The term phonetic grouping, grammatical grouping, semantic grouping, and structure grouping related to gradation. Gradation, the term of phonetic grouping, grammatical grouping, semantic grouping, structure grouping related to कैसे है gradation. Phonetic grouping और grammatical grouping and semantic grouping या structure grouping किससे related है? सॉरी, gradation से related है. Which is true, the blackboard work must be done at reasonable speed and be legible and beautiful. The blackboard work must be done at reasonable and speed and be legible and beautiful. The skill which should be tested are listening, speaking, reading, and writing. The skill which should be tested are listening, speaking, reading, writing. Okay, next है importance should be given to LSRW, means listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and grammar, vocabulary, spelling, and pronunciation which is, oh, choose the correct answer. इसका है importance should be given to LSRW and grammar, vocabulary, spelling, and pronunciation. Should the correct answer. Presentation is a very important aspect of language teaching. Presentation is a very important aspect of language teaching. Presentation is a very important aspect of language teaching. Presentation is a very important aspect of language teaching. Testing is required in language teaching because it tells the student about their progress in language learning, or it tells about the achievements level of the learner. It tells the student about the progress in language learning, or it tells about the achievement level of learner. Point out the incorrect statement in listening comprehension. Test the student task. The student to answer the question. ये गलत है. Okay, listening tests are of two types. Listening tests are of two types. In pure listening test, sound, stress, and intonation are tested. In pure listening test, sound, stress, and intonation and are tested. And in listening comprehension test, the teacher asks text best question. In testing, the focus should be on all the four skills: L, S, R, W, listening, speaking, reading, or writing. Okay, testing includes all the three: proficiency test, diagnostic test, and achievement test. Proficiency test, diagnostic test, and achievement test. In language testing, importance should be given to grammar and uses, listening and speaking, and reading and writing. Grammar and uses, listening and speaking, and reading and writing. In language testing, importance should be given to grammar and uses, and listening and speaking, reading and writing. Grammar and uses, listening and speaking, reading and writing. Why is testing necessary? Testing is necessary to know the achievement level of the learner. Testing is necessary to achieve the achievement level of the learner. The principle of gradation is simplifying the matter. The principle of gradation, the principle of gradation is simplifying the matter. Examination are more executive than test. Examinations are more executive than test. Examination are more executive than test. Unit test is an expression of formative evaluation. Unit test is an expression of formative evaluation. Examination are more executive than test. Unit test is an expression of formative evaluation. The method of teaching reading is the word method, the sentence method, the story method. The method of teaching reading is the word method, the sentence method, the story method. The story method, the word method, the sentence method. The word method, the sentence method, and the story method were the story of teaching, the story of teaching reading, the story of teaching reading, the word method, the story method, the sentence. You will hear two words, listen to them, determine whether they correct is listening. Grammar terms. Literature. चलो हम जल्दी से याद कर लेते हैं. In artistic and intellectual movement of late 17th century emphasizing individualism, emotion and musician was romanticism. Who is the pioneer of romantic poetry? Robert Burns. Robert Burns. Indian writers and their works. Torudat, the lotus over Kejurana tree. Torudat, the lotus and over Kejurana tree. Lotus. Rabindranath Tagore, Bhanu Singh poems, Sandhya Sangeet, Prabhat Sangeet, Gitanjali, Rabindranath Tagore. The Home and the World novel, Rabindranath Tagore. The Home and the World, Rabindranath Tagore. The Home and the World, Rabindranath Tagore. The Home and the World, Rabindranath Tagore. King and Queen, Rabindranath Tagore. King and Queen क्या ड्रामा के क्वीन किंग एंड क्वीन sacrifice मुक्तधरा चित्रा मालिनी Karan and Kunti and Sati and Raja, king of the dark chamber, post office, the gardener, and lover gift. Sarojini Naidu. ये king and queen sacrifice मुझे जरा इस पर और बाद में है सरोजिनी नायडू द नाइटिंगेल ऑफ इंडिया 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 सरोजिनी नायडू एंड लेडी ऑफ द लेक्स सरोजिनी नायडू द लेडी ऑफ द लेक्स सरोजिनी नायडू एंड इसकी लाइन्स कितनी है 100 लाइन्स द गोल्डन थ्रेशोल्ड the golden threshold, Sarojini Naidu, the golden threshold, Sarojini Naidu, the broken wings, Sarojini Naidu, the bird of time, Sarojini Naidu, the bird of time, Indian Viva, Sarojini Naidu, Song of Radha, the Bazaar of Hyderabad, Sarojini Naidu, the Bazaar of Hyderabad, Sarojini Naidu, untouchable noble, Mulkraj Anand, Mulkraj Anand, untouchable, Mulkraj Anand, Seven Summer, Mulkraj Anand. The Golden Breath, Mulkraj Anand, Golden Breath, The Big Heart, Death of Hero, Morning Face, The Road, Kuli, ये सब नॉवेल्स हम मुल्कराज आनंद थे.